Many students have found themselves in massive amounts of debt. In polls, it is often the majority of students stating that they will never be able to pay off their debt. That's troublesome. See, the issue is that after student debt, many other issues come up in life. Credit cards, mortgages, and so much more. It only compounds. So what have many people decided to do instead? Well, you came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we are going to look at a spectrum of data talking about student debt and how bad it has become. I want to begin with this: general student loan debt facts. And you will see some pretty shocking statistics. $1.5 trillion in total US student loan debt. This has come a long way in a short period of time. I will show you a chart near the end of this video that really gets into it. But understand how much and how big this problem really is. 44 million Americans have student loan debt. And that is a very significant number. Understand that they can't even pay it back. Take a look at the next statistic. Student loan delinquency rate is over 11%. That's 90 plus days delinquent or in default. These numbers don't look good because they're not just going to wipe it off and say, you know what, you can't pay back, no worries. They're going to make sure that people have to either claim bankruptcy or they have to do something in order to pay the price. Average monthly student loan payment, $351. Median monthly student loan payment, $203. So somewhere in between these two numbers, that puts a heavier burden on individuals, particularly if they can't find work, particularly if they don't get paid well. Let's cover more of these right now. Looking at this here, this is an interview with an individual who's the co-founder of a website, a very popular website, in fact, called Reddit. You may have heard of it before. What is your advice for college grads? Do you really need to go to college? There is a huge student loan debt problem in this country. I think there's going to need to be a drastic change in how these universities work. And I also think that we've lambasted the trades for way too long. You can make a 6-figure salary as a welder. So that's something to think about here. I know a lot of people have chosen this route recently, and many have suggested it as well. It's not uncommon for times where you'll see these different trades making a lot more money than the average individual coming out of post-secondary education, college, university. Why? Because there are fewer and fewer people wanting to do those jobs. It makes them in more of a high demand. You have, such a large percentage of people going to college getting basically the same degree, but they don't have a particular skill. That presents you with a problem. That's what oftentimes we find ourselves in this situation today. Look at this. We are talking here about this new type of school, Mission U. Well, it's a 1-year school, and this particular individual, who the article is about, decided to go this route. Enrolled in a 1-year data science program, he studies between 40 to 50 hours a week, visits high-tech Bay Area companies as part of his education, and will pay the San Francisco-based school a percentage of his income for 3 years after he graduates. This type of post-secondary education is proving a hit. Look at this. 10,000 applicants, 50 spots. You have a huge bottleneck that is very clear. You have 10,000 people up at the top and only 50 spots available. That's the demand. Well, ultimately, people are trying to get into these high-tech jobs, so this is a way for them to do so. They can get in this type of school, do it, as they see fit, and then hopefully be able to get in where they need to. It's an interesting concept, But ultimately, 10,000 people fighting for 50 spots doesn't look good. Okay, looking at this here, further along in the article. Coding boot camps have been growing quickly, paving the way for schools pitching themselves as alternatives to colleges. And you can see that from 2013, basically non-existent, till today, looking at over 20,000. This is basically a way for individuals to go to school for a short period of time, learn a skill, in this case here for coding, programming, and then they'd be able to hopefully get into one of these schools where one of these positions that they would really be able to make a living out of. Mission U, which enrolled its first class in September, is part of a new breed of institutions that build themselves as college alternatives for the digital age. The schools whose admission rates hover in the single digits, comparable to the Ivy League, according to the schools, offer a debt-free way to attain skills in hot areas and guaranteed apprenticeships with high-tech companies. Together, those create a pipeline to well-paying high-tech jobs. So everybody wants to get into high-tech, especially right now, and this is a way that they are going. This is a route that they are taking. I don't necessarily have an opinion on it. I think that the traditional way is a failed model. So maybe this is a step better. If they can guarantee them a position at the end of it, maybe it's a step better. Well, they don't have this accredited degree, but essentially they have a career path. And I think that's at least better off. They're given a skill, which is programming, which is something that, of course, as technology continues to become more pervasive, we need more programmers, or of course they'll be replaced by robots and automation eventually, but for the time being, seems like a skill that some people would like to have. In 2009, the last year for which data is available, 19% of high school students were concentrating in vocational subjects. That's down from 24% in 1990. So you can see that those numbers are getting worse as time goes on. Even as more students enroll in college, 40 to 50% of kids never get a college certificate or degree. That's something that tells us what we are doing through these school programs is not beneficial for students. That's clear. Okay? Look at this. This has prompted a rethink about the value of colleges and is fueling a separation between the winners and losers in higher education. These forces are leading to a course correction now rippling through the U.S. high schools, which are beginning to re-emphasize vocational education, rebranded as career and technical education. 49 states enacted 241 policies to support it, basically trying to get more people to go into this, vocational, looking at trades and other things. That's important. We need people to do different things, not all taking the same path, not everybody going to university and getting a liberal arts degree. It's probably not a good thing. About 3/4 or 77% of Canadian graduates under 40 have some regrets about the money they spent while in school. So understand that this problem is pervasive. It's not just the United States. The problem is basically everywhere, and that's definitely prevalent in Canada right now. The report found 30% of graduates would have had more frugal budgets, some would have worked more during school, and 25% would have avoided other debt by staying away from credit cards and car loans. That's something that we really need to think about now, today. About 67% of Canadians included in the poll said that they had debt when graduating and were an average of $22,000 in the red. Only about 33% respondents graduated debt-free. Very unlikely to see this. I'm surprised this number here is at 33%. Ultimately, they're probably not able to get into other things. Maybe they were more frugal as a result, or maybe they had some assistance. 62% of those who wrapped up their education with debt are still paying off the loans. And that's what I've been telling you here. Looking at this. This is the chart showing us student loans owned and securitized. Remember that? You can see where this has gone since 2006. It's basically a straight line upward. There's been no change in this at all. It just continues to accelerate further and further, and it's compounded because people aren't able to pay it off. Also, you have to understand the fact that it is securitized. So your student loan debt is taken, it's packaged up, and then it's sold off to investors. Despite you think it's held somewhere, it really isn't. Total revolving credit owned and securitized. Again, the same word coming up. This is basically credit cards. You can see that there was some deleveraging during the financial crisis, but ultimately when you look at it, going back from the 70s here all the way up until present day, more people using more credit, and there's no way around that. Now, I'm going to end it there. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to support this channel, give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. When you subscribe to this channel, you're going to be one of the 100,000+ people that are here. So definitely want to hit that button. And last but not least, if you found the video informative, I know that you will find my books, The Money GPS and my newer release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. You can actually flip through these books. All you have to do is go over to Amazon. There's a look inside feature. It's going to allow you to flip through the pages of these books to see if you like them. Take care.